My name is Grant Kimberley. I'm Senior Director of Market Development for the Iowa Soybean Association. In that capacity, I oversee the Iowa Soybean Association's demand building and market development programs. I also farm with my family about 30 miles northeast of the Des Moines area, and so I'm involved with our family farming operation as well. What we're seeing in the state of Iowa currently in this end of April timeframe is that we've been very cold, and we also are very wet. We've had several inches of rain in different parts of the state, and so that's delayed planting even further than the cold weather has here recently. So it looks like we're going to be pushing majority of the planting off until the month of May this year in the state of Iowa. As far as logistics go and getting ready for planting season, I think farmers have made good progress, as has the crop protection industry, in getting supplies in place. But overall, I think most farmers are in a position where we should be in a good spot for this planting season. But there's no doubt going to be some challenges that may arise. Looking at the corn and soybean price ratio this year, and they're anticipating a lot more soybean acres this year in the state of Iowa and across the country. But I do think that with the recent run-up and some of the changes in the pricing more recently, that we may see a little bit of a shift back to some corn acres before it's all said and done, although the weather will have an impact on that as well. And if we are too delayed, then that may make that an even more challenging situation. We are not considered late in our planning progress yet, but by the fact that we're going to have to start most likely in May means that we're going to finish later for sure. So some of the planting will happen at a later than ideal time frame, and if the weather does not cooperate later into May, then that could push us even further, and that will impact the acreage shift, and we might see additional acres go back to soybeans if planting progress gets to be too late into the planting season. But then, of course, weather this summer will play a factor. Our subsoil moisture is looking better because we've had some rain this spring, but we have to have rain periodically throughout the summertime. We've seen a price increase in commodity prices over the last actual couple of years here now. Lots of different factors has all contributed to a dramatic increase in the commodity prices right now. And so a lot of farmers had sold some of their production earlier this year before the prices went up to this dramatic point where they are today. But there are still some farmers with some old crop left to sell. Farmers that I've been talking to have been parceling off some of those supplies and selling some of those things more recently. And farmers are still selling some old crop, but we're getting down to a lower supply on the old crop side now because we've been rewarding the market over the last couple months on this price increase. You know, there may not be a lot of supplies by the time we get later into the summer because most of that may have been sold. But then farmers will then shift and start looking to new crop sales. But that's also a tricky situation because we don't know where these input prices are going to end up. So what you think might be a profitable level may not be a profitable level by the time we get into next crop season if we continue to see inflation and all the other supply chain disruptions impact the sourcing and the pricing of all the different inputs. Iowa soybeans are utilized all over the place. I mean, because of our geographic location in the middle of the U.S. In the state of Iowa, we process about 65 to 70% of all the soybeans we grow. Now, they go all over the country and all over the world, though, from that point forward. And then what's not processed, of course, moves out of the state as whole soybeans, usually as an export. We have a good opportunity for farmers and suppliers to ship soybeans to the Mississippi River and go down the barge to export terminals in the Gulf of Mexico, and then of course that goes all over the world from that point. Also, some soybean supplies will end up in the Pacific Northwest export terminals and via rail distribution, and then other soybeans will just be utilized here domestically, either in Iowa or surrounding states near Iowa, because Iowa is the nation's largest soybean processor. We have the most processing capacity of any state, and so a lot of soybeans will end up being processed locally and then utilized either in the hog, poultry rations, and then the soybean oil, of course, can go to the food industry and also into the industrial use sector like biodiesel and renewable diesel.